Hey, I'm Brock with Brock Entertainment.
And I'm Amanda with Amanda Reed Weddings.
And this is the I Do IQ podcast, where each and every week we're going to be discussing the latest in wedding and event trends.
And we're going to let you know all the things that you need to know in order to make your event the most special.
Yeah, and in the end, you will have the best wedding and event experience ever.
And something tells me we're going to have a little fun along the way.
I don't know about that. I'm a pretty serious guy,
Yeah,
Amanda.
you kind of are.
And this is a serious topic, so only seriousness.
Serious business.
This is the I Do IQ podcast. Let's begin. Hey, it is Brock.
Amanda.
And this is the I Do IQ podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a great show for you today because we are talking to you. You got to interview me a couple of weeks ago.
I know, and that was terrifying. But now you interviewing me has got me a little bit jittery.
Yes.
I'm scared.
Well, you went to the Knot, which is, the big website where people go to plan weddings.
Right.
And I have like 20 something questions to ask you. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But I want to know, what are you obsessed with right now?
You're going to laugh.
So wedding season is kicking back into gear.
Yes.
You're planning
Hopefully.
weddings.
Yeah,
I just did huge wedding over the weekend and more weddings to come. So
Yeah.
what are you obsessed with?
Well, it has nothing to do with weddings.
Oh,
period.
okay.
It's not very it's not exciting.
All right.
All I'm doing right now is rearranging. And so I'm like, I'm not reading anything new. I'm not watching it. I feel like there's nothing really that's fascinating. But I have been on a serious Tacos for Life kick.
Oh, yeah.
And they have their Southwest chicken bowl is like to die for. I'm looking for a recipe for it is what I'm trying to find
good,
to do.
huh?
It's so good. It's like real fresh. And everything. It's not a very weddingy thing, but it's just really delicious. It's like my favorite.
Okay.
It's my favorite meal.
Food.
So yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't get real excited about food very much. There's not like a whole lot of foods that I'm like, oh my God, I got to have that. But that's something I'm like,
oh my God, I got to have that.
I got to have that. Like, I'm kind of thinking, how can I work that for dinner tonight? But I want to find a recipe to like make it at home, but I don't think I'll be able to copy it very well.
No, it's never
won't
the
be
same.
the same. No, like
Never
I
the
won't be able to
same.
get the rice right. I won't be able to get the cheese. It just won't be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's not that great, but it's delicious. And I would love it if Tacos for Life wanted to throw some tacos our way.
That'd be great.
That'd be super. But
Tacos for Life. I Do IQ brought to you by Tacos. Buy a taco, give a taco.
Do you like how I set you up for that?
I do. I like that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. No, but I do. I love what that company stands
Yeah.
for, obviously. But I mean, whatever. How about you? What are you obsessing
I'm
over
obsessed
right now?
with D1 Performance.
Oh, are you now?
D1 Performance. Biggest sponsor of I Do IQ. Yeah, I mean, it's opening in Lowell, Rogers area.
Yeah.
Coming up, hopefully a month or so.
I hope so. They've been postponing it.
Yeah, and it's all about performance. Of course, I am a former professional athlete.
Yes.
Yeah.
In several sports, though, as I understand it. Right?
Yeah, that was, before my days of DJing. I did football, basketball, all on the professional level.
Curling,
A little bit of baseball. And to have D1 Performance in Northwest Arkansas is crazy.
It actually really is crazy.
And it's the
cool.
biggest one out of all of them in the country. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. My friend Jim Ed told me that.
Did he?
And
I think that guy sounds familiar.
he's a hunk. Yeah. So
He's something.
No,
He's
but
something.
D1
No, it's going to be
Performance.
it's going to be a very cool facility.
It is.
I'm so excited. I really am excited. It's
So I say D1 Performance because I talked to your husband in length about it recently, and he got me pretty pumped about it.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I think he's amped. He's like all on board with this.
I
He's
really
so
did not
excited.
know that your husband went to college for football.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
What was his position?
He actually played quarterback in high school and moved around a little bit. There were some coaching changes when he went to college, but moved around a little bit and ended up playing linebacker. He was an inside linebacker.
Oh.
No, he was an outside linebacker. Just kidding. I don't know what it was now. He was a linebacker. I think
was one of
outside.
them.
The inside of the big ones, I think.
Were you a cheerleader?
No.
No?
I danced, not in college.
I thought you were. I could have swore you were.
Thank you. I'll take that.
But you were a dancer?
In high school, but like not in
Did you
college.
not do anything in college?
Sorority.
Oh, okay.
Which was my life. Yeah. That was pretty.
Party girl.
No.
Yeah, I'm a little upset that we don't have drinks today. Last week we had Coon Saloon in here. We had some drinks.
I know. We'll have to, I don't know, get Jim Ed in here and have his squats or something. I don't know. It doesn't sound fun.
No, but that sounds exciting.
I mean, it's going to be really cool.
It's going to be really neat.
I'm excited. I think it's actually going to make me.
Are you going to actually work out now?
I'm going to have to. I've been so bad.
If your husband, is he running the facility?
Yeah.
So you have to be a fit lady if you're going to stand by his side from now on.
Yeah, I gotta fix this. And it's crazy. Like I have been in excellent shape in the past, but I've gotten busy and I'm just not happy with
lazy. You've been lazy.
I am very lazy. And
so lazy.
I make excuses for myself.
All about the excuses.
I'm started running again, which I hate doing, but I'm just trying to get myself back into it. So I'm running, and and that's the hard thing. Is like I know he knows how to train. Like, I know he knows what he's talking about, but it's hard to listen to him.
Oh, yeah.
My husband. Like, I don't want to listen to him. I don't want him to be right, but I know if I listen to him and do what he tells me to do, I'll get the results I want.
Yes, you will.
I need to take advantage of that. Both my kids, he's been working out both my kids for a couple of years now.
Your kids are awesome, and mom's lagging behind.
Mom's lagging.
All right, let's get into today's topic. So you asked me all the questions that the knot had.
I'm scared.
So I'm looking on here, and I haven't went through all these, so we'll do this together. So
great.
These are on the knot questions. It says all the questions to ask potential wedding planners.
Wonderful.
First one, are you available on my wedding date?
Yes, I am. No, I've got a team.
That's a great first question because you don't want to go past that if they're not available.
Yeah, agreed. No, that's a really good question. And typically the answer is going to be yes, because I've got an amazing team. It may not be me.
Same.
But I do have an amazing team of people that I work with who I trust, who I have vetted, and who work with me, and they're available if I'm not. There are a handful of dates that we're just maxed out though.
Right.
Because, we might take 4 or 5 weddings in one weekend, which is a lot. So it's possible that we might not be, but pretty rarely.
And how far in advance do you usually book?
We book some. I've had some that book 2 years out.
Yeah.
That's not the norm. I would say normally 9 to 12 months is kind of the sweet spot. But then, I've had some really amazing weddings book 6 months out. I never really know.
This means you have to work harder.
You have to work harder for a shorter period of time. That's exactly right.
Can you work within our budget?
Yeah. On the heels of the question you just said.
Yes.
Okay.
So it really just depends.
So yes is typically the answer. But I would say I get to the point where when we're talking budget with a potential client, it's not fair for us to command that portion, that much of your budget. If you're talking about spending, I don't want to give a
$2.5 million.
Then yes. No.
It's going to cost you $2 million just for Amanda.
Yes. You can have the 0.5 for the wedding. No.
It really just depends.
It really just depends.
Right.
Yeah. Most people with a reasonable budget, yes. But when you are booking a venue that already costs, $6,000 or $7,000, and you're booking a photographer that we know costs $5,000, you're like, we want to spend $20,000. I'm like, where's
the DJ and then food and then
you've already spent a big chunk of that, and there's probably not a lot left for our services. And that's hard because I feel like I do believe everybody should hire a planner, but sometimes if they're not allocating the funds like the right way necessarily, or they're, we have 500 guests coming, but we want to spend $250 on food. I mean, there are just some places where you don't have the money to spend. And that would,
So that leads into the next question. Say they can't afford the full service. What kind of services do you offer? Do you like month of coordination, full service planning, or a la carte planning?
A la carte. I love that. Okay. So yes, we definitely offer, it's typically known as weekend of. I don't like that term though.
Otherwise day of you get sometimes.
Yeah, day of, weekend of.
So the wedding planner on that just shows up that day. Right?
Yeah, understandably. I don't like that even calling it that, because I feel like any planner who would literally just show up and walk into the firestorm that might be there, I don't think that's wise.
That could be dangerous.
It could be very dangerous. So we don't do that. We do what we call event management. And that typically, we might book it 6 months out, but we don't actually start service until about 2 months.
Okay.
We'll give you contacts. Say, yes, you call Brock. Call that. Here's who you should call. But we're not going to be the one managing the contract until about 2 months out, and then we'll pick up and put it all back together at that point and kind of fill in the blanks and figure out what's missing. But I can't do that. I don't do weekend of, quote unquote, or event management, because I can't draw the line.
No, you want to do everything.
I want to do it all.
This is going to be the best.
Yeah.
The best wedding.
Yeah. So I cut myself out of that equation probably 5 years ago. I was like, I'm just not going to offer that service myself anymore. I've got team members who do, and they do a great job with it. I just can't cut that. I just can't cut that line.
Right.
And I'm constantly crossing it. So I don't.
So when we hire you, how many meetings will we have, and how will we as a couple be involved?
Such a good question too. And these are really good questions so far.
Nailing it.
So typically our contract includes about 6 meetings. That doesn't mean that at meeting number 6,
and these are in-person meetings, yes?
Sometimes not. We work with a lot of clients who don't live in our area.
But phone meetings?
Phone meetings would count as well. I'm doing a ton of Zoom right now, obviously.
But you're always available via email. Definitely. I know you get a ton of emails.
But obviously that's the preferred method because of the way it just getting through the information. But yeah, so typically about 6 meetings. That's, that our initial meeting, our first date, we do a lot of fact finding. We do a lot of gathering of information, just kind of getting into their heads and finding out what is it you want. And it still takes a few more meetings to really figure them out, but that's a really good first start. So then we move into typically the actual first in-person meeting, like really planning the wedding more than just fact finding, is invitations. Because I feel like that sets the tone for the event. It's the first thing the guest receives. It kind of lays the groundwork for everything else we're going to be deciding on throughout the process. So that is one of the if not the very first meeting that we start with to kind of just get a start on the overall design. Other meetings will be floral, rentals, cake tasting, menu tasting. Well, we're already at 6 right there, 5 right there. I can't count. And then there's at least one other just like general kind of touch base, like where are we kind of meeting that factors into that. Lots of emails, lots of back and forth with that. And a lot of times when we are working with couples from out of town, we might lump 2 or 3 of those meetings together into one weekend or not a weekend. We don't typically work weekends because we work weekends.
Right.
But it might be like a Friday and a Monday. If you're coming in town for this weekend, we might work on Friday and Monday and do some things. So 6 meetings is about what we include in our contract, but we're not like, okay, well, good luck.
That was
See
6.
you in June. Later. Good luck. I mean, we definitely, if it takes a couple more meetings to make that happen, we do it, but within reason. Like you don't need to have 6 meetings to talk about invitations.
No.
It doesn't, I don't like taking people to multiple cake tastings because that vendor has spent time and energy and resources preparing that tasting.
Right.
So I don't think that's fair to do to those vendors either if we know that that's not a legitimate. I mean, there are definitely people who are like, I just want some cake. I just want taste-free cake, which is super fun. But I would say go buy a cake.
Yeah, don't waste people's time.
No, I don't think that's fair to do.
And that's I do the same thing with clients that like, well, can we meet 2 or 3 times? Why? Like, what's the reason for this? Because we can usually take care of it over a Zoom call or over a phone call or even over email.
Right. And I'm more hands-on obviously than you are in the process. So we do feel like we've got to give them a little bit more than that. But yeah, I have to be really careful with the amount of meetings that we allow. I mean, I had clients years ago that wanted to get together and talk about hotel room blocks. And I was like, that's an email. That's not that's not an in-person meeting. I'd be happy to meet and talk about other stuff, but probably not. Or, they want me to go dress shopping with them. And I'm like, well, I'm flattered, but you need your sister and your mom.
That's not you.
That's not, but I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to give you my input, but that's not typically something that you're contracting me to do.
So do you handle professional services, contracts, and payment processing? Do you handle those things?
We oversee the contracts. We help make sure that those contracts are in line because a lot of people don't know to look for. If you're hiring a band, they might require 10 meals and they might require hotel accommodations and they might require travel arrangements. I mean, I've had weddings that thought they were getting a band for X price, didn't really read their contract properly, handled it on their own, didn't want us really involved in that piece. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they've spent 4 times what they thought they were spending on the entertainment because they hadn't factored those pieces in and they didn't look at the rider. They signed off on it and then they were like, oh, ew. And I was like, I begged you to let me look at that contract. I begged you to let me see it, but Dad wanted to handle it. So,
it's on you.
I didn't get to handle it. And so yeah, it kind of skewed the budget. So I don't know that I answered the question. Yes, we do handle those things. We don't sign for it.
And you get people paid at the end of the night.
That's the goal. Yes. So we do. We try to oversee those contracts and make sure, because I know what a cake should cost reasonably. I know what a DJ service should cost reasonably. Now there's always an exception to the rule, but I think it's very important. We like to take a look at it and make sure that we're seeing it. Contract is always between the client and the vendor. We're there to assist. Right. We're not the person signing the contract and typically not the one paying the bill. There's a few, I pick up a tab on a few things and then I'm reimbursed, but typically all that is handled through the vendor.
But you do find out at the end of the night, hey, have you been paid?
Yes, I do.
Or do you still need to be paid? And I like that.
We actually typically try to handle that before the event takes place.
I'll get an email saying, hey, have you been paid yet? How much does the client owe you?
Exactly.
How can we pay?
When we send out that master timeline, a week, 2 weeks out, double checking. If you've not been paid, let me know. A last call, let me know.
Right.
Because I did have a photographer one time come up to a client, New Year's Eve wedding, came up to the client and asked for his check. And I was like, you, of all people, have the collateral. Like you're their photographer. You're going to have something to give to them at the last, and I asked you, had you been paid? Don't ever go up to a client asking for money at the event. Like, go to me. I'll handle it. We'll deal with it.
Yeah.
I can go to dad, but why would you walk up to a bride?
You don't go to the bride, especially.
Never. And he did.
No.
And I was like, never see you again.
No. And I mean, when I was first getting started, I would ask the families, I would get paid the night of.
Sure.
Now it's all digital. They do it the day before. And if they don't pay the day before, there's a penalty.
Yeah.
So,
well, I've switched my billing even. Because typically, yes, I would say it was due like a week before or 2 weeks before but I have pushed it to where they pay our final payment about 3 months out.
Oh, wow.
Because we've done the majority of the work.
That's true.
And at that point, I feel like they trust us enough to know that we're going to be there, but also to know that, I don't want them thinking about the fact that they paid us.
Oh, no.
At the end of it, I want them to just be like happy-go-lucky, and maybe there's some reimbursements after the fact, but I don't want to, slap them with some giant bill that they weren't
right expecting because
a lot of times I am the last one getting paid. 2 or 3 months later, we're still waiting on our final invoicing, and that's really difficult.
Right.
Just because we've paid everybody else out, and we're kind of out some money on some things.
Yeah, it's never good. So can you walk us through the process of selecting other vendors and how we would be involved?
Okay. So let me think about that. How do I want to answer that?
Really just depends, I think.
Yeah, I think it depends on client to client.
So some clients maybe say, we trust your vendor choices.
Yes. Who do we want to start with?
Yes.
You just tell me. A lot of times I will say, even in that first couple of conversations, do you have any vendors you really want to work with? And almost always they'll have one or two. They've picked the venue already, or they know they want to work with this DJ. Or they know a few little details like that. Some clients come to us with a full list. And they're like, this is who my sister used. I like everybody on there. Cool. But we do often get the opportunity to present a few different options. And so what I'll usually do is, okay, if we're looking at florists, here's 2 or 3. If you don't have a preconceived idea of who you want to work with, or if you do, and I know it to be someone who maybe isn't a great fit for them, I'll say, well, here, take a look at these 3 or 4. Usually give them their Instagram, and it's crazy that's become such a tool, but I usually give them the Instagram accounts of a few options.
Go here and look
through these, tell me what you think. And they'll go through and they'll see, because I feel like that's where you're putting your best work, and you're not able to use Instagram quite in the same way. I think you're not as visual.
No,
your
right.
Is not visual.
Unless, we get the pictures from photographers or videographers. Yeah.
You guys looking cool in a suit. That's a great picture. But so we though are able to, and florists and catering staff, like those vendors are all able to utilize those images from a photographer. And so I feel like what you're putting on your Instagram, obviously, speaks to the type of client that you want to hire and your best services. So, I'll send them to their Instagram and take a look and see and kind of rank them. Tell me 1, 2, 3, and then let's meet with the first one. I'm not saying we should meet with 3 different florists. I'm saying let's meet with your first choice. And if you don't fall in love during that meeting, then we can go to the next one. But my gut tells me that usually you're going to find somebody based on just what you like. I know here's my track record with them. I had a good experience with them. Moving on from that, I think you're going to feel really good about it. If you feel like you really need to have another meeting after that, great. But I think by and large, we can knock it out in the first meeting. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. And it takes less of all of our time, right?
Yeah. I hate wasting a meeting for a vendor knowing that this client is most likely not going to hire them.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart. It's just, and it feels like I'm lying.
No, right. Yeah.
It's not fair.
So are you willing to step in as our advocate, conveying our visions and desires to pros when we can't?
Absolutely. That's a very delicate situation though, because if there's ever a little bit of a rub between a vendor and a client, obviously I try to I have to walk a fine line and try to keep people happy with each other. And even, with the weekend of the wedding, we end up a lot of times, again, having to kind of cater to the client, cater to the client's family, cater to all the client's guests, and cater to the venue and the vendors and all that. Try to make sure everybody's happy. And we just kind of keep this perfect little, what's the word?
Bubble, not bubble.
What's the word?
Perfect little...
symbiosis or something like that. I don't know. Trying to just keep a perfect little happy environment for everyone.
There you go.
So it's hard though. It's hard because a lot of times, but then as far as sometimes people just can't, like, I know I like pink, but I don't know how to describe pink.
Right.
What do I like? Do I want pink chairs? Do I want just pink flowers? Like, so a lot of times clients can show me an image, but they can't really tell me why they like it until we kind of really start dissecting it and figuring out what it was. Pinterest is super helpful for that reason, but also kind of difficult because it's a Pandora's box of ideas. But yeah, I can help convey those ideas. And, I find it very important to find a common thread that's going to run throughout this entire event. Maybe that is the invitations, and we chose gold as our metallic accent, and it's on ecru paper. So we know that that's going to be the common thread that runs throughout this. We don't want to choose something later on that completely contradicts, because most clients have Pinterest boards that they've had for many years, and it's the craziest mishmash of stuff you've ever seen. Like, it doesn't,
well, back, like this, like this.
I thought I was going to get married to the beach, and then we went to a barn, and then I went to this hotel. So it's all over the place. And so we try really hard to kind of hone in those ideas. So what is it about this that you still think is super important? Oh yeah, I don't like that anymore. I don't even know why that's in there.
All right, let's get rid of it.
Don't even want it. Yeah. And I mean, we really don't rely very heavily on Pinterest, but it does kind of help us a little bit peek into somebody's brain and see where they are.
And you're really good at design work in general.
Thank you.
So that's, I think where you shine a lot is taking those ideas and making them work and beautiful. Like,
and sometimes you have ideas that don't necessarily work in the venue that, they love this suspended, huge, amazing floral arrangement, but the venue doesn't allow.
Like, it can't do that.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
They don't allow that.
But what's something that would fit that kind of resembles that? How can we
bridge that gap? Yes. Or, it's a super rustic look, but we're in a country club. Like, how do you blend those two ideas together? And I think I thrive in kind of the unexpected. Like, how can we take this, what could be pretty pedestrian, and make it really unique and unique to that couple? So.
All right, next question. Will you handle the invitations? We were just talking about that, from wording and ordering to the addressing and mailing. Yeah. What about guest list coordination and RSVPs?
The guest list is the bane of most couples' existence. It's the hardest thing, and that's also why,
because you have to get all the addresses.
It's so hard. Okay, there's a little tip here that I'm going to share. There is a website. It's not an app. I thought it was an app for a little bit. It's not an app.
Okay.
Postable.
Yes.
You may have gotten a text from somebody using this before, but it creates a guest list for you.
And then it will ship out the stuff, right?
Well, I think they can ship. I don't use it for that purpose.
Okay.
I just use because I think it's actually a card mailing service.
Yes.
But it's a way to actually pull all your addresses together into like a CSV file. So you can pull all this into like an Excel or a Google
document.
Nice. Super helpful. So especially if you've got, like, I've got all these people's phone numbers, but I don't know their addresses, especially for people who are college, haven't maybe established the Christmas card yet or the Christmas card list. So I'll a lot of times encourage, if they're just like, I don't know where to get all these addresses, that's one place we'll start. So there's one little tidbit I'll share.
Was that Postable?
Postable.
IDOIQ, brought to you by Postable. Download it today.
I walked into that one too, didn't I? What was that again? Okay. Anyway, but so starting that guest list, though, that determines everything we're choosing from then on. How many invitations are we ordering? How many chairs do we need? How many people are we feeding? How many drinks are we buying? All the choices that we make reflect back to that guest list. So yes, we help you create a document. People ask me how to weed out the guest list. That I can't that one I can't even touch, because yes. I mean, I think if I looked at my guest list, I had a very giant wedding. If I were to probably do my guest list now, it would be a fraction of that size. People I just haven't seen in years. It was all my parents' friends. It was, it was all these. I think if I were to get married again, if we were to do the wedding now, I think it would be a fraction of the size.
Mine would, I guess, I would say, I look at it, all of it. Who's going to bring the best gift?
Obviously.
And who are the people aren't going to come, but we'll send a gift. So you got to send those out.
Also important. No, I mean, I wouldn't, and I don't regret having had a very large wedding. That's, obviously what we loved, and we were with our friends and all that. But I just feel like the number of people that we socialize with compared to what we did then.
No, right.
It's just very different.
It's different.
But yeah, creating that guest list is super important. So we have a hand in that. We help. Obviously, we can't really, that's very personal, but we help with that. And then we help select the invitation. We have been known to assemble invitations, stuff, stamp, mail, all that. So we will even do RSVP service if people want that.
And is it extra charge?
It is sometimes.
Okay.
I think it depends on the client.
Okay.
It kind of depends on the client. Just everything we do is super customized. So if it makes sense for us to be the one collecting, yes. A lot of times the client wants that. They want to touch and feel every single card that comes back in, and they want to, they want to see.
Like, you can handle that.
And
That's
you
good.
can handle that.
It's all you.
It's not the worst thing in the world, though, to handle. I don't mind doing it. I don't mind doing it at all. So,
okay.
Yeah. Did I answer everything on that?
Yeah, that was perfect. Do you handle rentals, and will you coordinate delivery, arrival, and setup times with the photographer, the florist, the musicians, and the caterer banquet manager?
I think you know the answer to that very well.
Yes.
Yes. So we build out a master
why are
timeline.
you emailing me so many times?
Exactly. You're killing
good.
me.
I'm good.
Yes. So we send, multiple emails, phone calls, texts, just confirming details, making sure. Certain vendors we've worked with multiple times, we know roughly when you're going to need to show up. We have a pretty good idea of that, but we try to communicate, especially when it's a wedding that's very detailed, like very specific ins and outs, some flip, if we have to do a flip or anything like that. We're very communicative as far as like, how's that work? Big master timeline, usually between 6 and 8 pages long, a lot of detail that you don't care about. And honestly, when the whole thing is, and I know you don't. And
no,
I know,
it's fine.
we've got to have it all in one place, though, because otherwise it's all over.
No, that's good.
Check the timeline. 90% of the
like, what page do I need?
Yes.
Oh, page
Reference,
6. Okay. And we're good.
But it is helpful because it gets everything into one place. It helps the client, even though it's more information than they need, it helps get everything into one place so we can watch the flow of this event. But yes, we handle every bit of that.
Yes.
We work with rentals. We help select all those items.
It's kind of the point of having you there.
I think so, yeah. Now, I don't think all planners are designers. Those are not.
No, that's true.
We definitely can Venn diagram that out. Because
yes.
all planners are not designers,
No.
and all designers are not planners. I think it takes the perfect storm to be both, and to be able to do both successfully.
But coordinating and handling all the rentals is one of the main things of hiring a wedding planner. So you don't have to worry about it.
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't be thinking about that. You shouldn't be there checking off and seeing that they're 25 dinner plates short. That's not your problem. That's our problem. Let us handle that. Let us figure out how we're going to solve that problem.
So now into day of logistics.
Yeah.
We're at question 10 is all.
Oh, mercy.
How many people on your staff will be at the wedding?
Depends on the wedding.
Okay.
There are some weddings where it can be one. Contract includes one staff member.
Okay.
Additional staffing is usually brought in because of extra place settings. Somebody has to do that. One person cannot physically do all those things. You're paying for the service of the planner that is going to be there with you start to finish, making sure that things are done. But we're not furniture movers. Like, you don't want me dragging a sofa across the venue. You don't, yeah, you definitely don't want that. We will drop linens. We will help with place settings. We can do all those things, but there's only so many hours in a day. That's the bottom line. We can only do so much. So we do have to bring in additional staff a lot of the time. So, yeah.
So can you create a timeline? I think we know this, that everyone involved is involved in the planning process, and you tell them what to do and when to do it. How will you make sure everyone sticks to the schedule?
That is a great question. So how do I want to answer that one? Matt, so planning timeline for...
Let me ask that again.
Okay.
So here's the next question. Can you create a timeline that tells everyone involved in the planning process, all your wedding pros, what to do and when to do it? And how will you make sure that everyone sticks to that schedule?
We look at that timeline as our Bible for the weekend. Like, everything... to a fault, everything is included in there.
Yes.
Sometimes stuff, you don't care about all the details.
Right.
Caterer doesn't care about all the details, but collectively, it's all important. So, because sometimes I think, the cake baker has to know how her delivery fits into the grand scheme of things.
It's true.
Because if it's not there at the right time, then we can't move forward with the next step.
Right.
So, knowing that floral begins at this time, we have to have the dance floor set and in place long before that happens. Or if there's going to be, items going up in the ceiling, that has to happen before we get everything on the floor set. We've had to step back over each other, and we just end up spending so much more time if we don't carefully think through that stuff. So yeah, we definitely build that out. Sometimes it bites us. It definitely happens, and things don't go as planned. Trucks break down and deliveries are late. That always happens. But, the more we can stay, the better we can stay to our time frame, to our timeline, the more successful the day is going to be overall.
So how do you make sure that the pros are sticking to that?
Staying on people the best we can. Like, if somebody,
I think everybody in the industry respects each other
for
too.
the most. Because they know their piece. Like, they know if I don't get this done, then I can't move on to my next job, because there are some that might have 3 or 4 setups in one day.
Oh, right.
And they got to get in, get it done. So if they're not in place, ready to go, ready to get set up, they may miss their window.
Yeah.
So they've got to get their job done. So I think mostly they really are very careful about that. There are some companies that we've had difficulties with, and it's just hard to work with them because they won't follow a timeline. Like there's a reason I need that delivered at that time because everything else that happens after it is built based on that.
And if you're a vendor that is hard to work with, then know that you're probably not getting as much business as you could.
It's true.
I mean, because as vendors, we have to work good together. And the people that you recommend the most are the ones that you like working with. So
well, if you're supposed to be there, at 7:45, like if you're not there at 7:45, let us know so we can, because I'm like holding another truck because I'm like, no, they're supposed to be here at 7. I've got to get this in first before you come. But if you're 3 hours late, I can't do much about that.
No, that's on you.
Yeah.
So what happens if you're sick or otherwise unable to be there on the day of the wedding?
Okay. Knock on wood, it has not happened yet.
Yeah,
I know it's going to.
Same here.
I do get migraines.
Yeah.
And
you are a migraine. That's what your husband calls you.
I know.
Migraine.
It's terrible. I get migraines. I never know when they're coming. I've never been able to pinpoint like what my triggers are even.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I've had probably 3 or 4 weddings that I can think of off the top of my head. I've had 3 or 4 that have just hit me. All of a sudden I've got a migraine. I don't feel like I don't feel like they're stress induced.
Do you get, is it a sick migraine or what?
It's an optical, so I lose my vision for a little while, and it looks like a flash bulb has gone off. So I'm like, it's like I can't see.
Oh wow,
it's awful. I can usually get through. I mean, I've got some medications that I can take that'll at least subside. Knock on wood, I've not been sick enough that I've had to leave. I have had to go lay down for a little while until the medicine kicks in. That's why I don't like to be by myself. I like to have a team there to make sure things get done.
How long does it take for cocaine to work? That's the medicine you're talking about, right?
That seems very unsuccessful.
A little bit cocaine.
That is not my drug of choice, but I would be much skinnier, I guess, if it were.
A little cocaine will do all the work for you.
No, but yeah, so that has definitely. I mean, that'll knock me down sometimes for a couple of hours, and I don't have a couple of hours to afford on a wedding day. So there have definitely been times where I just have to pop my medicine the quickest I can and just get back to work and just like try to
pray to God that you make it through.
I mean, really, that's the truth. And it seems to happen a lot of times later in the evening. Thankfully, I've only had a few times where it's happened early in the day. But it's possible. Yeah. But I used to get ill. I mean, when I was younger, because I started having these when I was about 13, when I would get like at school or something, I would get motion sickness. Oh. And so I would have to go home. I would vomit and I'd be sick. Man. It was bad. I outgrew that, thankfully. Yeah. Now I just can't see. And then my face kind of goes numb for a little bit. It's not great, but I mean, it's something I've kind of learned to live with. And I'm not to the point, they're not bad enough or consistent enough that I am on a preventative because they're so inconsistent. Right. I could go 6 months and not have
When's the last one that you had?
About last week, I think. Okay. And before that, though, I couldn't tell you. Yeah. I mean, 4 or 5 months.
I feel like you're having one right now because you're looking at me. It's kind of funny. I'm over here. I'm over here.
There you are. I'm bouncing around. I know. Yeah. So if I were to be sick and not able to be there, I would definitely I'd have somebody there. I've got team members. I've got people who would jump in and handle it. I guess my only instance where if I were in the hospital, I'd have somebody there though. The job would get done. Even if it was my best friend, just reading from the list, like, okay, this is what happens next.
Yeah, we would make it happen.
We'd make it happen. Yeah. So I'd never leave a couple high and dry.
Getting into your experience in the wedding business and planning, how many weddings have you planned, do you think?
I don't even know the answer to that.
Because we kind of talked about this on the first episode.
I mean, I guess I could, do the math and figure it out, but it's a lot.
Couple hundred?
A couple hundred probably, yeah.
How many weddings will you be working on throughout the entire process and on the day of at the same time, do you think?
That's a really hard question to answer too, because they're all on a rolling basis, So I start one and I work with somebody for, 12 to 18 months. So at any given time, I've got probably 15 weddings on the books at any different stage in the process. The rest of my team also has probably that many as well. So I could possibly have up to 60 weddings at multiple stages. That's probably a little high, but it could be though.
Never know.
On a wedding day, I personally only take one, but I might have 3 different team members at 3 different events. Right. Occasionally I've been in a situation where I kind of bounce between the 3. If I don't have something personally scheduled that day, I might bounce between the 3, just checking in on things. It might just be a text or a phone call, but, I don't take more than one event on a weekend.
But the person you're working with has your full attention.
Absolutely. Yes. All
right. So have you planned any weddings at our site? And you've planned weddings at almost every site.
I'd say just about every venue. I mean, the big names in Northwest Arkansas and Central Arkansas, I've been at most of those multiple times. There are a few that I've not gotten to work at yet for just whatever reason.
Do you go beforehand and look at them?
Definitely.
Because you need to know the layout and how to map everything out.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because I build out a master floor plan that has all the details in it, and I obviously need to see it in person in order to, get measurements and things. Typically, I can get a lot of those measurements digitally. Most of them I don't have to go out, thankfully, and hand draw these measurements.
That would suck.
That's a whole other issue.
That would suck.
But typically I can get the floor plans and build those out. And then, I definitely, at least once, we'll go to the venue, especially if it's an out-of-town venue I've not worked at. If it's a venue I've been to dozens of times, there's no need. There's no need.
All right. Do you do destination weddings?
Yeah, I love destination weddings.
What's your most fun destination wedding you've ever been to?
I've not done a ton, I'll be honest. I think I've bragged about this one 1,000 times, but Charleston, South Carolina was
that was last year, wasn't it?
It feels like a year ago. It was February.
Was that in February?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, it was crazy.
Feels like,
it
definitely.
really does. I mean, that was before the floor fell out on all
Have you done any weddings out of the country?
No.
I've done one.
Have you?
Yes.
It's hard. That is a hard thing for me to do because I have to source so many things.
True.
So I have to do some serious on the ground work in that area when I'm working. It's not a problem. It's something that's totally manageable.
Maybe they'll fly you down there.
I know.
I did one in the below California?
Mexico?
Yeah, but
Baja?
no, that area.
San Antonio or New Mexico, Arizona?
No, it was in Mexico.
Okay, Mexico.
What are some places to go in Mexico? I just not Cozumel, Cabo.
Okay,
I did in Cabo San Lucas.
See, I think it's way down here.
And the couple flew me down there.
Yeah,
I got to stay a week.
It's awesome.
I had to rent the equipment from the area. Yeah. And it was great. It was perfect. It was really warm outside.
Yeah, but
it was fun. They had a blast.
Yeah. I think being a planner for destination weddings is kind of its own animal. So there are, when you're going to Mexico, there are companies at most resorts that handle those type of events.
Yes.
Heck yeah, I would do it. But it requires at least one meeting, visit beforehand.
I'll do it.
Right. And then it's just hard for me though, because, with kids, it's hard to plan on that kind of travel.
Right.
Because I end up being gone for so long. So that's kind of difficult.
So much fun. I wish I could do more. That resort was like, we've never had a DJ like this. How can we get this guy back?
And you're like, here's my card.
Yeah, I would love to do weddings here.
No kidding.
But, just not feasible.
I do love traveling, and I really enjoy getting to do destination weddings. It just is not. I just haven't, for whatever reason, been reached out to for that a whole lot. But I'm all about it. I love it. I've got a couple this year. I've had a few.
We need to get into photography. That's where it's at.
Gig. It is. Pack that camera and you're on your way. Yeah.
So what was the most unique wedding you ever planned? I mean, there's a lot of them because you've done some pretty amazing weddings. Like you did one at Crystal Bridges a few years ago that was pretty intense. You did Miss America's wedding that was pretty savvy. Her wedding was pretty amazing.
I don't know, most unique. I mean, I've had some pretty cool things. I mean, I've had couples that I had a couple who the bride's dad was from, I think he was Indian.
Okay.
And so they did this beautiful, they did a Mendi party for the bride the day before the wedding. And so her hands were completely painted. So there were a lot of details and touches, and the groom was from West Texas. And so we had a lot of details that kind of blended together in Crystal Bridges. This wedding was very unique. Yeah, it was really cool. So we had kind of some elements from a lot of different things. And that was interesting. I mean, we had Bollywood music during the reception. The ants were going crazy.
Did you dance?
Yes, I did. I was like,
did they do Celebrate in Bollywood style?
No, I don't think that even exists. No, I don't think
I'm sure it does. We can make it happen. What are some ideas you have for pulling off our vision?
Okay. So typically, I mean, getting to work with a client throughout the process, you see all their crazy ideas and you see as you start to, break down and kind of hone in more and more what you're planning on doing, you see what's not going to work and what is going to work. And so I think that's things just sort of happen organically. I think, I excel at blending together ideas that maybe don't go together.
Right.
But I think you kind of weed out some of the riffraff, the things that don't necessarily work. And I think the cream just kind of rises to the top. You find what's the best idea that, you hone in on what's the, we have 4 different ideas for floral. We like all these ideas. These don't work at the venue, but this one really does. And I think this could be really successful. So it's just kind of it's a constant evolving process.
And like you said, you are good with creating.
I appreciate that. Thanks. So. Well, and I work with really awesome people who can create those things.
Right.
You know, I feel like when I walk into a meeting for floral, I'm relying on that designer also. I'm a designer, but so are they. And I want to give them the opportunity to shine. As with any vendor, you know, caterer, here's some ideas. You do you though. Like, what do you have to suggest? I'm not a foodie. I've seen this. I think this would be cool. They like this. What can we do? I did have one though, where we tried to kind of go off the map at a well-known hotel restaurant. They're known for this type of food. The couple kind of wanted to go this direction, and the food tasting was a flop. It was bad. They just didn't, it's not that they didn't do it well, but that's not what they do.
Right.
And at the end of it, we were just kind of like, I think we need to go back to what they do. We need to go back. There's a reason they've created this event menu. We need to go back to what they do well. So sometimes it doesn't work.
But at least they tried, you know?
Yeah.
So here's a question for you. What's your secret for staying calm under pressure, and how do you deal with day of disasters?
Knowing that there are many, many, many eyes on me, I think is the first secret. You know, I think it's because I'm able to, it's business. I'm able to take a step back and be like, okay, how are we going to solve this problem? Often before the client even finds out that there is a problem. Like, how am I going to go to them and say?
And most of the time, they never know there was.
Never know.
No.
There are times when they do know. For example, I had the power go out at an event.
What happened there?
Yeah. But, you know, we had to figure out a solution.
Yeah.
Client knew about the problem. Everybody knew about the problem.
Yeah.
And we just went to every table. Hi, guys. Just checking on you. Everybody good? Everything's fine. You just keep the smile on your face. That's all you can do. You know, Rome is burning.
Right.
But we're going to keep smiling and we're going to figure it out because nobody that's on site wants this to fail.
No.
Every one of those vendors is going to do everything they can to help make this a success. So
you got to keep it lighthearted.
Even in, you know, bad scenarios where like something falls on grandma, it's terrible.
Does that happen?
Yeah, it happened.
What?
Like a ballast in a lighting.
On grandma?
Yeah, ballast in a lighting fell on grandma's shoulder.
Ugh.
And of course the venue came and took care. And I just was like, you know, hi, just making sure you're okay. We checked on her throughout the night.
Does grandma look like she's okay? Her arm is broken. Her shoulder, she'll never be the same.
Goodness, she was not actually injured. I mean, you know, it was an irritation.
Yeah.
It was, thankfully she wasn't injured. But yeah, like stuff, you just kind of have to smile and remember that this too shall pass. Like this day will end. It seems like it won't at the time. Sometimes those things go on and on. But yeah, for sure.
So we're at question number 20.
Yeah.
Do you have any references? Nope, you don't.
Nope,
that
no
was easy. And they're on your website?
I've got a few on my website. You know, our website has lots of reviews. Facebook, Instagram. No, Instagram doesn't have reviews.
No, not Instagram.
Google and
Unless
Bing.
you posted them.
Exactly. I don't do that. So Google and Bing, there's lots of places for reviews on there. We ask clients to do that after the event. I'm not great about following up. If they haven't done that. I've got to get better about that. But if, as a former client, the best thing you can do for a vendor is give them a review. Tell everybody else how great the service was. If it wasn't great, I would say go to that vendor and say, hey, you know, I want to review you. Couple issues with this. Talk to them. Maybe you don't know the whole story, like why things maybe weren't as great as they were. But yeah, yes, we've got references.
Okay.
We've got lots and lots of clients who were like, please let us refer you.
2 questions left.
Scared.
No, 1 question left.
Okay, so one of them's a stinker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last question's dumb. How do payments work?
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Payments to my company?
Like
or
a percentage of the budget, a flat fee? Will there be additional expenses on top of your base fee, like travel, parking, food, all that?
Okay. So there are companies who work off of a percentage of the total event. I don't feel that that's a fair way to do it because then there's the question, well, aren't you just trying to get us to spend more money so you make more money?
Yeah.
So I'm very adamant that we're a flat fee.
Okay.
You hire us for this job. We do this job. We manage this piece of the job. Additional staffing, yeah, that's extra. Things that we might have, you know, a lot of times we'll pick up the tab for some certain things. So we definitely, there can be additional fees afterward, but never something that the client doesn't know about.
Right.
We keep a master budget as we go through this, and we refer back to it constantly. We're always pointing back to that budget. Okay, I got the pricing for those lamps that we talked about. They're in the budget. They've been ordered. You're gonna reimburse, and it always says final bill, like it's gonna be on their final bill as a reminder, just that this is coming. Don't forget, you do owe us still for this, because nobody hates getting a surprise bill worse than me.
No, right.
Nobody hates it worse than me. So like to make sure that people are aware of what's coming. And, if they want to pay those little things as they go, they totally can. But you typically have forgotten that you spent $500 on postage in November by August. You've forgotten about that. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I still owe her $500 for postage.
Well, that's a lot of money for postage.
Right. So, no, we don't like to surprise people with a bill at the end that doesn't relate to anything they've already talked about.
Okay.
Did I answer that question?
Yeah, that was perfect.
Okay. And then payments. Yeah, we typically, I don't talk about that.
No more of that.
No more of that. No more money talk.
Okay. So do you have anything else that you want to share with clients about what you do or other vendors or anything like that? Before I move on I have 3 just random questions for you.
I'm scared now.
They're not bad.
I would say the biggest advice that I would give to potential clients is just like we say, please don't come to us with what's your price.
No.
Come to us with, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Here's the details on our wedding, and where would you land probably budget-wise with this? Because we do try. And now there are companies who are just like, here's our price, shoot it back to you. But I feel like we are a custom company, and we are able to structure ourselves around your needs. I feel like there's not even a package A, B, C, or D. It's kind of like A.1, A.3.
Well,
everything's
true.
a little,
but you are a premium.
For sure.
So you're not going to just customize it so much where it's not worth your time.
Exactly. But we are willing within a certain parameter to be flexible.
Yeah.
Maybe we cut out these services and we can still work with you. We want to work with we want to work with people. We want to help them because we know how stressful it can be. Excuse me. Let me say that again as I hiccup.
You're good.
We know how stressful that can be to try to plan a wedding. So we want to make sure that we keep, our piece shouldn't be stressful. Our piece should be the calm. And after we've had that very first conversation, you should walk out going, oh my gosh, I feel like everything is kind of right.
Now I don't have to worry about anything.
Exactly. I don't want to think about that stuff anymore. So, so
your slogan should be like my slogan. You just show up, get married, and have fun. We'll take care of the rest.
Take care of the rest.
Boom.
Calm in the chaos.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, so here's some fun questions for you. The first one, what is your favorite wedding color right now? What are you into right now? Yeah, what color? I know, it's a tough question.
It's funny, blue is not my favorite color. It's never really been my favorite color, but I am drawn to it over and over, different tones of blues. And I've done some really beautiful weddings that were like a multitude of blues lately. That's not new and fresh and different, but I think it's the application of that.
Yeah.
There's only so many colors in the rainbow. I also really like a nude wedding. Like
where everybody shows up. No, I'm on board too. You show up and the sign says, leave your clothes at the door, take them off, and you just stroll in. You're giving all your friends a thumbs up. You're pointing at grandma, you're pointing at grandpa.
At the same time. Yeah, no.
So when everybody's at the nude wedding, it's not as big of a deal.
Okay.
Just saying.
That's true, but that's not the kind of nude I'm talking about.
Okay, well, then I'm not interested.
Over it. I should say tonal. Rather.
Okay, that makes sense.
Ivories, whites, creams, kind of bringing in some really beautiful blush tones, just really like almost the absence of color.
Yeah.
I think is really beautiful. I don't know. I get really excited about lots of different palettes. Like every client, they give me a little bit of a tidbit of what they like, and then I get to kind of run with it. So that's what I get excited about lots of different palettes. I don't know.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Yeah. It just really depends.
There's not one I'm just like dying to do right now, but I do feel like I've done a lot with the blues lately. I love it. I think it's beautiful, and I think it can be very well done. I can't really imagine seeing a red wedding done successfully.
Not right now.
No.
Like it has its season or it has its time. Everything comes back.
But that's like a Merlot or something. I'm talking about like red Valentine's Day.
Oh, I've been to those weddings.
I know you have.
And it that color can kind of throw off the cheese factor.
It totally can.
So, yeah.
Although I say that, and I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, I had a fabulous wedding in January.
Right after Christmas?
Yeah. And we were so conscious to not make it red. We wanted to keep, this holiday, this kind of feeling, but we wanted to make sure that it was not a red wedding. And so we pulled in all these jewel tones. So the red, kind of a cranberry Merlot was our base.
Yeah.
So we didn't use red, except in a little bit of flower tones, but then we kept like all the jewels with the purples and the pinks, and it was to die for.
Oh, I bet that was nice.
Really
beautiful. Blood red would be good for Halloween.
Yes, it would. Just slap it on there with the pumpkin orange and you're good to go. Yeah.
All right. We were talking about, actually flowers. What's your favorite flower right now for a wedding?
I mean, everybody's obsessed with the peony, these gorgeous, big, fluffy flowers. I always love that. I think
I just choose tulips. Baby's breath. I just want baby's breath for everything. So a bouquet of baby's breath, baby's breath everywhere. The little girls dropping baby's breath as they're walking down the aisle.
What a mess that is.
I mean,
tulips are my other favorite. I love tulips.
Tulips are beautiful.
I love and I actually like the little ruffled French tulips, little white tips. I think they're so pretty. I love a tulip. Yeah.
And the final question, at every wedding you go to, what song do you hope you hear?
Well, I can tell you what I hope it is not.
Okay.
Let me think of a song that I would
a good song.
I don't know.
Good song. I know. So many. Celebrate would be one. Casey and the Sunshine Band. Or is that Cool in the Gang? It's one of the two. Yeah.
All right. What song do I want to hear? All my life, Casey.
I'll ask you the question again.
I know. I got to think about it, though.
You can pick a fast and a slow.
I'm terrible at thinking of songs off the cuff, though. Ugh.
What song do you just like to dance to?
Just take a look. See here. I think it would change based on a lot of different things.
This is how we do it.
Savage. Megan Thee Stallion. No, I'm kidding. Okay, that's a good one.
Okay. All right, last question.
Yeah.
What song would you want to hear at every wedding you go to?
Oh, that's so
What's
good.
the one song you love to hear?
Oh, there's a lot of songs I really do. I get excited. I love the Killers. I do love the Killers.
Yeah.
So anything Killers.
Mr. Brightside is the best.
Like, who doesn't love that? I know. It's happy.
For dancing. Yeah.
Taylor, anytime she's with me at a wedding, like that, anytime those come on, we're just like, and like we just run it. I mean,
it's a good sing along.
It's a great sing along. And I don't dance a whole lot at weddings. I'll kind of run out there for a second, but that is one that's going to get me on the dance floor for sure. I love
Mr. Brightside, huh?
Just anything Killers, really. I do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You were at that concert last year.
Yeah. I'm a big fan.
That was a great show.
It was a great show.
Right.
I'm still searching for his jacket. Did you know there was a huge ordeal? Like I was searching for the jacket. Do you remember the jacket he was wearing?
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's amazing. So it was YSL, about a $4,000 jacket.
Only $4,000?
Only $4,000.
Who cares?
I searched high and low, and I was like,
couldn't find it, huh?
No, it was not even available.
It might have been a custom one.
It had to have been.
Yeah.
I did find an actual image of it online though, so I was like, oh my god.
Oh, you need it.
I love that jacket. It was beautiful.
I did not know you were such a Killers fan.
I'm a big fan. Yeah, I've always liked them. And they're just great.
Where did you sit at that concert? Were you out in the?
Where were we?
Because I was in the pit about 5 feet.
I was not as good a seats as you were.
But I went by myself as well. I bought my ticket right before the show.
We weren't in the pit, but we were like in the first few rows behind the pit.
Okay.
So we were close. We were in good seats.
Well, I could see you.
Yeah.
Because I was waving at you the whole time.
You were focused on me. You're focused on me, not Brandon. That's kind of it
was a great show, though.
Yeah, it was such a good show. But that was super. I'm trying to think. What else? Okay, so there's a Fits in the Tantrum song that I love. I've never heard it at a wedding though, but Living for the Weekend.
That's a good song.
Love that song. And I think it could be, it might not ever work for a wedding though, but I don't know. I think
and you're big into twerking, so what's your favorite twerk song? Everybody's like, it's Amanda. She loves to twerk.
She's gonna twerk. No, she's not.
Hey, give it up for Amanda Reed. She comes out there and just drop it low, drop it low. You're like, whoa, I didn't know she had it in her.
I mean, if I'm gonna twerk, it's probably gonna be to Savage.
Oh yeah,
Megan.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's gonna be Savage. I don't even know. Like, I don't know. I'm not.
And your favorite slow song? What was your wedding song, by the way?
Don Williams.
Okay.
Wouldn't Be a Man. Look that up. It's a good song.
Okay.
It's a really pretty song. Probably haven't heard it since then.
Yeah.
We're about to celebrate our 18th anniversary.
I thought you were going to say Don McLean, American Pie. I'm Miss American
Matter of
Pie.
fact. No, Don Williams.
Or since your husband played for the Razorbacks, you just do the hog call fight song for your first dance.
Totally. Yeah, no.
Ooh. Oh, I think this is where we end.
I think we got to go out somewhere. Yeah.
Answers from the knot.
Well, I hope I didn't make it.
No, they were great.
Myself. Yeah. You're hard to talk to, like, not like a client. Like, if I'm talking to a potential
I want to hire you right now. And I'm not even getting married. I mean, I want to hire you. Put me on the books. Are you available for my date?
I am available for your date. Yes, sir.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. This is Amanda. I am Brock, and this is the I Do IQ podcast. Thanks so much for listening, and make sure to subscribe and expect a new exciting episode each and every week. Please follow us on social as well at I Do IQ Podcast. If you have a guest recommendation or a topic you would like to hear discussed on the podcast, please let us know. The I Do IQ Podcast is recorded at the most amazing studio in Northwest Arkansas and by the most amazing and best looking people in all the world, Go Rogue X. You can follow them on social as well at Go Rogue X, or visit them online at goroguex.com. They truly are amazing, and if you're looking to start a podcast, they are your go-to people. Also, a big shout out to our creative people, David Kinney from Forward, all the way from the great state of Michigan. You can check his website out, theforwardcreative.com, for all your logo and design needs. And for more information on Brock and Amanda, please visit djbrockentertainment.com and amandareedweddings.com. Thank you again, and we'll see you on the next episode.